Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Like, I think you're taking us. Do you see the
Can I go back there?
Yeah, that would be taken. Wait, so you don't see a graphic that says being now live stream starting soon? Okay, then yes, that's what you're saying. Yeah, I'm about to count you in right now. Are you guessing me? Three, two.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Romney Smith with WTOC. We are going to get to SEMA, who's having a news conference right now to give everyone an update on the situation we're dealing with Hurricane Florence. Let's listen in.
The southern part is the weaker part, and that is what should track just north of us. As of right now, the earliest reasonable time that we could start seeing some type of impacts, whether it's wind or rain, it looks to be around Thursday at 8 p.m., according to the National Hurricane Center. The most likely time would be Friday around 8 p.m., so there's about a 24-hour period there to where we can start seeing some type of wind encroachment, of rain encroachment into Chatham County. So we'll be monitoring that with every advisory. There is still probabilities of us receiving tropical storm force winds. The probabilities are roughly around the moderate level. So we will be continuing to watch that with each advisory and making sure that everybody is fully aware of what the conditions are or expected to be for our community. We are in a full readiness posture for the county. All of our emergency support functions are activated. All of our partners have been communicated with throughout the weekend, throughout Monday, Tuesday, and today. We are ready to implement a next phase if we happen to go that direction. As of right now, we have a moderate risk for wind. We have a very low risk for storm surge, and we also have a low risk for flooding as associated with rainfall. We want to make sure that even though we don't have any evacuation orders in place right now, we have a very well-educated community. They understand what the threats are to their particular home, what their community looks like in a severe thunderstorm, and then also we've got the experience from Irma and also Hurricane Matthew from the past 2 years. So as a resident, as a business owner, you don't need an evacuation order if you feel threatened. You need to take the personal responsibility to make sure that if you have a concern and you want to get out of the area, feel free to do that. Okay? As of right now, there are no evacuation orders in place. We will keep evaluating that decision after every advisory. We meet with the command policy group on a regular basis. We met with them this morning. We've had another conference call with them at noon. We'll have another one this afternoon, and we'll continue doing that after every advisory until this threat to Chatham County is minimized. Okay? I want to thank all the municipalities for participating in all the decision-making process, the sheriff, the school board, the chief judge, and of course the chairman of the county commission. We have all come together as a community to make appropriate decisions for the community, for all of Chatham County, and everybody has been in lockstep with the direction that the county needs to go in. And as of right now, we still remain in that operating condition level 3, which is a modified level of what we traditionally do. The governor did issue a state of emergency for all of Georgia, all 159 counties. What that means for Chatham County is we now have more resources to draw upon. If that storm does happen to come here, we have all the resources of the state that we can utilize to come in and assist us with anything that happens here. All right? So that's where we are. Your safety is paramount. So again, if you feel like you need to take some actions for your personal preparedness, we encourage you to do that. As of right now, again, there are no evacuation orders in place. We're looking at a moderate risk for winds, a very low risk for storm surge, and a low risk for flooding rain as associated with the 11 o'clock advisory. I do have a few key messages that I've been asked to pass along. For the airport, The airport has asked me to report that they are now at partial operating condition 3. They follow the county. They are fully operational. There are no flight impacts at this time. The airport is recommending that anyone with travel plans for travel into areas forecast to be impacted by Florence check with the airlines they are flying on to verify flight times and schedules. Airlines will cancel flights to airports forecast to be impacted by hurricanes. Also from Mayor Buelterman for the city of Tybee Island, the beaches are closed to swimmers as of this morning through the end of the weekend. They are still following recommendations from through the command policy group on any potential evacuation decisions. They also have sand available for any residents who want sandbags or who want to fill sandbags. They do have sandbags available at City Hall, and they have more coming tomorrow. Okay? All right, that's everything I have right now. Turn it back over to Mr. Smith or open up any questions.
Just open up for questions at this time.
Dennis?
Yes, sir.
My question is, because the way I understand the plan, the folks in nursing homes and hospitals, if an evacuation order came down, they go first. How does that figure into what's going on now? If an evacuation order is issued, doesn't that change that timeline a bit? Can you talk about that?
Sure. It does change the timeline, and of course the dynamics of the storm changes the timeline also. For our evacuation clearance time for a mandatory evacuation countywide is 36 hours. This storm doesn't necessitate a mandatory evacuation order. As of right now, it doesn't necessitate any type of evacuation order. So we're relying on the responsibilities of the individual nursing homes, long-term care facilities to make those decisions in the best interest of their tenants, of their clients, and we will support them however we need. We have talked with every nursing home and long-term care facility and hospital in Chatham County just to see what their posture is, to make sure they understand what the threat is, and also to determine what their intentions are. As of right now, all of them intend to stay.
Can you talk about the difference between the previous operation conditions and what Operation 3, that level 3 means? It says
Sure.
mobilization.
Yeah. Well, what we're doing is mobilizing assets, local assets. We've entered into OPCON 3 at 9 o'clock, and that allows us to take and put our critical workforce assets, put them in a particular place where they would be protected if the storm does happen to come here. So it gets them out of low-lying areas, it gets them into higher property. It also makes sure that we have all of the resources available to us throughout the community in order to bring those together to respond to an event.
And it also sounded like you were saying that if people feel that they should go, it's okay to go. What should they do before they leave?
Yeah, we encourage people to make their own decisions. You don't have to have an evacuation order in order to get out of town. If you do feel like you need to leave for the safety of your family, then we encourage you to do that. That's a personal discretion, objective opinion that you need to make for your own family, and we encourage you to make that decision if you feel like you need to.
Dennis, 2 questions. First, if you could, you touched upon it briefly. If you could walk us through what we could expect. You said we should start feeling impacts around tomorrow night around 8.
Right.
Can you, from what we know right now, can you walk us through what we could expect for the weekend?
Absolutely. Right now, again, with the current forecast track, we're looking at a moderate risk for wind. We're looking at a very low risk for storm surge and a low risk for rain. Now, with every advisory, we have seen that the forecast position has changed, especially overnight. So we could see that shift south a little bit more. We could see it shift north. We could see it shift further west. So it all depends on every advisory. Based on what we're seeing right now, it looks like the majority of the wind and the rain or anything that we could experience from Florence will be out of here by Sunday. It may linger into Monday a little bit. If we do, those will be residual effects that really shouldn't have a major impact to our community.
Second question is, what should folks be doing right now?
Right now, we want everybody to maintain vigilance in monitoring the storm. We still have another 24 hours, possibly 48 hours before we start seeing any impacts to Chatham County. Between now and that first 24-hour point, there's 5 more advisories that are going to come out. So again, it changes with every advisory. This storm has really given the National Hurricane Center a really challenging approach to hurricane meteorology. So they got to take a look at how that system is going to interact with those other systems that are out there and how that actually changes the dynamics of the storm. So we'll see changes with every advisory.
I keep hearing things about how the storm may stall as a rainmaker. With
Right.
us being at the mouth of the Savannah River Basin, won't a lot of that inland rain wash our way?
Well, the intent, or not the intent, the forecast is for it to stall around the North Carolina, South Carolina border before it starts making that westward track. So all of those are different river basins than the Savannah River. And again, fortunately, we're on the side of the storm that doesn't have as much precipitation as the north side.
Dennis, I think you mentioned earlier that once the storm hits land, it's going to diminish a little bit.
Right.
What are the odds that it would be similar to like Hurricane Harvey, where it could get on land and just stay powerful for who knows how long?
Well, it is projected to stay a Category 4 hurricane until it makes landfall. With any storm as powerful as that, there is the potential for it to move inland as a hurricane as it slowly diminishes. So for this particular storm, as soon as it makes landfall, they're forecasting for it to start dropping down, making landfall as a major storm, dropping down to a hurricane, then to a tropical storm, and then into a depression. If you look at some of the model guidance that has coming out, it takes it down to a tropical depression almost immediately. The latest forecast from the National Hurricane Center drops it down gradually, but by the time the forecast track right now around the northern part of Georgia, it's already a tropical depression at that point.
Dennis, when you're talking about a moderate risk of tropical storm winds, are we talking sustained tropical storm force winds? Are we talking gusts?
Sustained tropical storm force winds with occasional gusts up to strong tropical storm force winds are possible.
And are we talking about that again potentially over a period of days? You said maybe as early as Thursday, hopefully be out of here by Sunday or at least Monday.
Yeah, those are the timelines based on the 11 o'clock. We're looking at possibly a 24-hour period roughly. This storm is really, really big. It's 250 miles wide, so we're looking at a radius of that to affect Chatham County and slowly come through the state of Georgia and South Carolina. So it's a big storm. It has a lot of potential associated with it, a lot of energy associated with it right now. And depending on how it interacts with that upper level trough that's up near Maryland and what it does with that system, whether it pushes it south, takes it west, is really going to depend on the intensity and how long that system is going to be around.
So again, the way things stand right now, the expectation is perhaps 24 hours of sustained tropical storm force winds.
24 hours of potentially tropical storm force winds, that's right. But keep in mind, that is it's likely, but it's not probable. Does that make sense? I'm trying to use National Weather Service terminology. So it's likely, but it's not probable. So we do have the potential, but again, it's not something that we are ready to implement right now. We still got 5 more advisories to see how that system is going to interact with that upper level trough, and that'll give us a better idea.
While that is happening, I guess it's a two-part question. A, what should people in Chatham County be doing when we are actually feeling the effects of the storm? And does this impact people who have to go to work? I mean, do they get an excuse from you guys to say, hey, this storm is hitting us, can't make it in today?
That's actually a decision that I have to be made with the employer. Again, we're not under any kind of mandatory evacuation or either general evacuation order. We right now, based on what we're seeing, we don't feel that the evacuation order is needed for this particular event. We do encourage all residents, however, if they feel like they need to do something to protect their family, we encourage them to do that.
I guess, I mean, when the storm actually hits us, what's your advice to the people living in Chatham County? Stay indoors, or should they be driving around to see what they can see?
Oh, no, absolutely. We encourage you to stay indoors, and we do that with any severe thunderstorm. Severe thunderstorms come through Chatham County all the time. We encourage people to make sure they're in a safe shelter. We've encouraged people year-round to have a disaster kit. If you don't have a disaster kit, go ahead and assemble one today, tonight, tomorrow. Go ahead and put that together. If we do happen to lose power for whatever reason, you've got that disaster kit available to you. If we don't use it for this particular storm, you can put it in a closet and you can have it for the next storm. So that's something that we encourage everybody to have year-round. Those are common preparatory measures that we encourage people to have because of the amount of severe thunderstorms that we have here. We have a very high probability of losing power for any event that comes through Chatham County. So it's always good to have that emergency disaster kit. Put it together, put it into a closet, and you've got it available for you and your family. If the storm does happen to come here, and there's a possibility for power outages, of course, just like any other normal thunderstorm that comes through, we have all those regular potentials associated with that. The areas that normally flood could potentially have some flooding associated with it. Areas that normally lose power could potentially lose power. So we're looking at just the common threats that come along with a severe thunderstorm to our area.
You talked about the possibility of sustained tropical storm force winds. With Hurricane Matthew, we had tropical storm force winds, and
Right.
I don't even think we even got up to hurricane force winds.
No.
So if the probability continues that we're going to see sustained tropical storm force winds, will y'all implement an evacuation order?
We make that determination after every advisory. We are aware of what the evacuation clearance times are. We are aware of what the threat is at any given time along that advisory sequence. And we meet with the command policy group, and we have the National Weather Service involved in that too, so that they can ask questions directly to the sources. And any decisions that are made after that time period, after that conference call, we make sure that we communicate that out to the general public in rapid succession. We still have time if we do want to issue an evacuation order. We still have time, so we're not rushing into that decision. We understand that it is a significant issue for families, for businesses, in order to affect that evacuation process. So the chairman and the mayors, they don't make that decision lightly. That's why we've been meeting on a regular basis, looking at the meteorology, looking at the science, looking at what the potentials are, and making these decisions that we do on a 6-hour basis. Okay.
Dennis, there seems to be some confusion about whether we're in a watch or warning. Can you just confirm that we are under no watches or warnings?
Yeah, the question is whether we're in a watch or a warning. Chatham County is not in any watches or any warnings at this time. All of the watches and warnings associated with this storm, they stop just north of Beaufort. There is some indication that these watches and warnings could extend through Beaufort, but the latest information from the Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service as of noon today is they don't foresee that these watches or warnings will extend to us, at least for the next two to three advisories. So as of right now, Chatham County is not under any type of watches or warnings from Hurricane Florence. Any others? Okay, thank you.
Next update from you guys, Dennis? Next update from you guys?
I'll have to defer to Catherine. I'm sorry.
SEMA giving an update on where they are right now. We appreciate you guys who are joining us on air and online. I want to give you a quick recap of what they said. Hurricane Florence right now, from tip to tip circumference, 250 miles wide. This is a very large storm system. Right now, Chatham County is not under any warnings or watches. Let me repeat that. Chatham County in Savannah, Georgia, not under any watches or warnings. Should that change, we will update you on air, online, and on every platform we have. A couple things to keep note of right now. The airport right now, no flights are impacted. However, we know that could change. So please be sure to check in. If you are leaving or anticipating any guests, always call the airline first, not the airport, the airline. SEMA is fully activated right now, and that means they are in communication. Their people are also in position to make sure that they are ready to go. Keep in mind, there are no evacuation orders being issued at this point in time. However, the leader said if you feel the need to evacuate, if your job will allow you the time off to go somewhere safer, you should do that. However, there are no mandatory evacuations at this point in time. Also, keep in mind the governor of Georgia, Governor Deal, issued a state of emergency. That does not mean everyone needs to evacuate. What it means is that there are now more resources available statewide should we need them. Again, WTOC has an entire team of meteorologists watching this storm very closely, and we are giving you updates on air, online, on the weather app, and via these digital newscasts. So I want to thank you guys for trusting WTOC to keep you, your family, and your business safe. We will be back with a weather update later. Thank you for watching.